yourself a suit and tie and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
David Whiting back with you as he always is of a Tuesday morning. David, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We've got a lot of help to dispense and you don't have any homework at all.
No, I took the week off. It was fantastic.
Okay. Absolutely.
And I've got next week off as well.
He's got a suntan. Oh, yes, you're going. Are you off to the Cup, are you?
I have a ticket, so anything's possible.
What are you wearing?
A suit. I mean, you know.
Oh, come on. Give me a bit more than that.
No, that's it. That's a suit. Yep.
Oh, come on. A buttonhole flower, surely. A yellow rosebud. It's Cup Day.
I'll think about it. Take it on notice.
I'll send you one.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to send him a corsage. It's time I paid him something.
Yep.
Because he does this work for you for free. 1300 222 774. Do you have a question for David Whiting today? All right. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Where shall we go? Susie in Carnegie. Good morning to you. Susie, what's your question?
Good morning. I live in an apartment of 40 units. Just recently, 3 months ago, the body corporate sent a ballot to some of the residents, not all, because they used old email addresses, so we didn't all get a chance to vote. Forward 3 months, we've been trying to get the ballot to be redrawn, and they just don't respond. They've admitted finally that they used old email addresses, but they won't redraw the ballot. So where do we stand with this?
Well, then, effectively, if they didn't distribute... Well, sorry, of the 40 units, how many people received a ballot?
I don't know, but 19 responded and 11 of the 19 voted for. And it's an increase in price for a stacker, which is fine, but we don't know whether it's real or not or what we're voting for because half of us didn't get the information.
Then the process should be you should have the ballot again. Your argument would be the ballot's not valid. And if you...
Do you know, David, I've written, and many of us have written with evidence that we didn't get the stuff, and they still ignore it. They just block us. They don't, and the committee has said, yes, we know we've got communication issues, but they don't go the next step to say, therefore, we'll redraw the ballot. And I've said it is invalid.
Is it, but Susie, but is it a vote that is it a ballot that requires, is it a decision of the Owners Corporation that requires a ballot, or can it just happen anyway?
No, I think it is because it went to the AGM that, that I think they need 75% of the people to vote on.
Okay, so it requires a special resolution. It's therefore no more. In the event that you don't get your want, what you do is you go to VCAT for a declaration that the ballot was invalid. So I would be putting as much effort as possible into making sure that the Owners Corp had valid email addresses for every resident.
Yes, and that's where we got to after 3 months of me doing lots of homework and lots of pressure on the OC. They've now agreed to do that, but they don't agree to redo the ballot.
I don't think they have a choice. If it requires 75%, if it requires a vote of 75%, it requires a vote of 75%. I think, Susie, the problem's yours, but if you're 3 months in, I'll give you a categorical answer in a couple of weeks.
Okay, or you can head off to VCAT in the meantime. Susie, I hope that's helpful. Thanks so much. Megan in Blackburn South. Go ahead, Megan.
Good morning. We live in a unit next door to a block of 3 units. Our unit looks directly into Unit 1's living room. So we put a fence topper on our fence to block that out. One of the ladies in that developed unit, not the unit that doesn't want us looking into them, but a lady up the other end has complained and is demanding that I take the fence topper down. Do I have to?
Oh,
how high is it, the fence topper? What's the size of it?
It's 50 centimetres.
So what you've got is you've got a fence that's 1.6 metres high and you've added an extra 50 centimetres on the top.
Correct.
It's one of those ones, if I was acting for the lady on the other side or the neighbour, my recommendation would be it wouldn't be worth having the fight with you, Megan. Under the Fences Act, you can't do any fencing work, so you can't make the fence bigger without a fence order or an agreement with the neighbour. And is your issue with the fence opposite the person that's complaining or next to the person who's complaining? So if you think about if your backyard shares with someone else's backyard, do you share a fence with the person who's complaining?
No.
Then it's not her problem.
It's a body corporate, so there's 3 units on the block next to
I
us.
understand, but are you on the driveway side or are you on the backyard side?
My backyard faces their driveway.
Then it's an owners corporation committee issue, not a member of the owners corporation issue. So, and if I was the owners corporation, I wouldn't be going and having a fight with you because it wouldn't be worth it. But one of the things that you might consider is simply putting some posts in and putting your fence topper against the fence or next to the fence, but not actually connected to it. The other issue will be that in your municipality, that kind of construction will logically require a planning permit, but I don't know that anybody would ever go and get one. So my advice to you would be to stonewall.
Okay,
Right?
thank you.
Okay, because the cost of taking you on isn't worth the argument.
Is it blocking any light to that apartment?
No, her apartment's not even near.
She's on the other side.
She's on the other side. She just complains about everything. Like if our kids play outside, she'll chuck a note over the fence saying, "I can hear your children playing."
Well, that's a
Just
good
shut them
sign,
up.
isn't it? Yep.
Yeah, you should chuck the note back amended saying, "I know, isn't it lovely?" Just scribble that on the bottom and chuck it back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Honestly, that's something that really bewilders me. We get that complaint every now and again here on the program. Noise that children make playing. You know what depresses me? The lack of noise. Like you, I grew up in a street that was just full of kids playing, all of us.
I lived
and the
across
regular
road from
cry
a
of,
primary school.
car, and you get
Yep.
off the road, and you go back on again.
Mm-hmm.
I live behind a school as well. And I tell you, the things you hear, it's an education. Sue, where are you? Sue in Heidelberg. Good morning, Sue. How can we help?
Oh, good morning. Yes, my mum died last year from COVID and difficult family dynamics, but we can't find her will. And my sister swears she wrote one when she fled domestic violence, lived with my sister for a bit, and during that time, my sister said that she did go and write a will, and we can't find it. How do we find her will?
You could put an ad in the Law Institute Journal, which goes to most lawyers in Victoria, and you could ask them. I would probably ring. Did your mum go through a divorce?
No, she went back to him.
Okay. I would be ringing in the area, get out the phone book, or look online perhaps.
Yeah,
phone
did
books
you
exist.
just say get out the phone book?
I'm not sure I have one, Sue. So
No, I don't know
I
if
would be
I- Let me
Let
ringing.
me just turn on the radiogram here as
Yes,
well.
okay. I would ring the lawyers in the area where your sister
I've
lived.
done that. Yeah,
And
I've
you
done
failed?
that.
Then
Well,
you
failed.
then
Go
you
on.
proceed on the basis that there is no will.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, but my sister swears there's a will. If I'd got the year, when I rang the lawyers in the town where we thought it happened, she wrote the will, I had to give them a year, a time frame, and if we've got the time frame wrong, so if I've given them a span of 5 years and I'm out of that 5 years when it actually was written, they won't be able to find it, would they? Or they wouldn't look?
No, they would. They index them. They would index them under people's names, not under the date they were made. Sue. So
okay.
give it another go. Perhaps the town next to the town where she was,
Yeah, okay.
or even do you? When your mum and dad bought the property that they lived in, do you know what the lawyer they used? Is it possible she went back there?
No, I doubt it, no.
And does your sister have a lawyer that she used?
No.
All right, then
That's the thing. No one really has any lawyer, so it would be a random lawyer that we would have to find.
Well, then you're not going to find that. What you would do, you would proceed on the basis that there was no will, Sue.
Okay, and what would that mean, proceed?
Is your dad still alive?
Stepdad, yes, he is.
Then he gets the whole of the estate, Sue, so keep looking.
Keep looking. I hope that helps. Good on you, Sue, and good luck to you. Paul has called in. Paul from Huntingdale. What's going on, Paul?
Similar to the federal election, with the upcoming state election, everybody that works on a temporary basis is required to do training before they actually do the job. Now, that training, should that training be recompensed?
How much training is it, Paul?
It'll probably work out to about a day's work. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. It depends how long it takes you to do it in your own time at home.
And you're already employed by the VEC?
So the situation, I am, yes. The situation is that you get an employment agreement that starts from date A to date B.
Yeah.
Date A is when you actually physically start working on the job. But to actually start working in the job, you actually have to do this online training, which is before date A. So that's actually before the employment agreement.
Well, it's part of the employment agreement, but before the day you start. Why, if I was the VEC, my argument would be I had built the time taken to do the work into the rate, is the approach that I would take. That's the argument that I would run. The answer will be, I'm happy to give you this job, I'm happy to pay you this amount of money, but you have to do some training in a relevant area first. It's like saying, I'll employ you as a first aid officer, but you've got to have done a first aid certificate on your time, not mine.
Because the amount that you get paid, unless you work on election day itself, but for all other work, it's actually an hourly rate.
Then I would be suggesting, it may well be, but it still could be built into the hourly rate. What does your union say?
I don't know.
I would start there, see what the union has a view, because they'll have a view in relation to required training.
Are you a member of a union, Paul?
No. I mean,
Okay.
It's just temporary. It's just temporary work. So there's the Victorian Electoral Commission employs a lot of people prior to an election.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. Yep, and we've got one coming up soon. So
that's what this
a month today.
That's what this training is for. Paul, have you raised it with the VEC and said, look, could I do, if my start date is today, can I start the training today, but I want to be actually paid by you and have that as my first day of work?
No, I haven't. I'm just ascertaining the situation before I contact them.
Give them a call, and will you let me know what the answer is?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
Because there'll be hundreds of people affected.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Thousands.
that's
Thousands.
right. But also, and I'm going to pop you back to my producer because we'll stay in touch with you about that and see what the VEC's got to say about it as well. But do you think that parallel that you used about the first aid training, you think it applies here?
It's probably an unfair one. It's like saying, I want to work as a truck driver. Is it like that? I bet you need to have a license
I think
first.
it probably is, isn't it? You can be my truck driver, but when you start, we're going to give you on-the-job training. And the
Yeah.
on-the-job training is, we have these particular trucks that you need to drive.
Yes.
So the VEC has this particular system
Yes.
that you need to be familiar with. It's on-the-job training, which means it's part of your pay.
I would have thought so. This is job-specific
It is,
training.
exactly.
It's not general training of a more universal application.
And their own particular systems that they would have worked out. So,
Yes, I would expect that you would get an allowance to complete the course, perhaps not an hourly rate, but if you complete the course and you start work, then we will pay you X for the training.
Well, I don't know if that's been made clear. So a couple of things have to be clarified, which Paul has to clarify, and we'll speak to the VEC as well about that. Thank you for calling in. Good morning, Virginia. This on text. I worked on the census and we got paid for training. Says
Different
this texter
employer.
here. Yeah. No, but parallel. Similar.
The principle, yep.
Very similar. Virginia, I was contracted to work the last federal election through the AEC, but was unable to on the day as I had contracted COVID. I was still paid for the time I spent in the training running up to the election. Now, that's a good parallel.
Yes,
All
it's a
right.
great parallel.
Okay, well, let's see how we go from there. What do we got? Tony in Ripponlea. Hi, Tony. What's going on?
Oh, good morning. I've got a bit of a catch-22 with my car. My neighbour drove into my car last week
That's nice.
and did some damage, and she's made a claim against her insurance company, but they won't even speak with me unless I agree to have my car assessed by them, in which case they then have the power to write it off, and I don't want it written off. It's a 1985 Corolla with only 85,000 kilometres.
A 1985
Tony,
Corolla, nice.
Tony, they will want to inspect your car for the purpose of
Yes.
forming a view as to its value. Now, if I was, let's say I'm the insurance company, I say, Tony, I want to insure your car, and I will say, I will give you X dollars for it. And it might be that I will give you a lesser sum if you want to keep the car in its damaged condition. Now, there's two parts to this. I have no idea what good condition your car is in or otherwise, but let's say, for the sake of the discussion, that it's currently worth $5,000 and the cost to repair it is $6,000. The answer would be your loss is $5,000 because you have a car worth $5,000. If you choose to repair it, that's not your neighbour's problem. That's because you want to invest in something that's more than its value.
So are you saying I don't have to have it written off? They've told me that they have the power to write it off even for cosmetic damage. That's what they've told me.
Well, then there's a system run by the Insurance Council of Australia, but you just need to make it clear all they're doing is assessing a value for the purpose of making an offer, and they will make an offer that, depending on how you frame it, will or will not include them taking the car.
Oh, well, that's good, because they certainly led me to believe they have the power to declare it a statutory write-off.
That's a different question.
No choice.
No. There's a concept called the statutory write-off, and we had lots of issues with those when a few years ago there were lots and lots of vehicles who had rain damage or hail damage. Yeah. Now, in the event that if they determine something meets the definition of a statutory write-off, they've got to notify the registration authorities. And there are issues. I don't want that. Well, I'm sorry, they have an obligation at law to declare it to be a write-off. You can still keep it, but you would then need an engineer's certificate to keep it on the road. And
I've done it before. It's not worthwhile. It's an expensive process. So basically, I have to just say, no, I don't want my car assessed because I don't want you to declare it a statutory write-off. In which case I can't get any money from them.
Then they won't pay you any money. No.
So there's really nothing I can do.
Have you got an engineer's report for this same car, have you, Tony?
No, I once did put a write-off back on the road, a different car.
You like your old cars, don't you, Tony?
Oh, yes, I want to keep it, yes.
Yeah, I know, I get that. All right, is that all that we can offer?
That's all we can offer.
That's all we can offer, Tony. I'm sorry about that.
It might be cheaper for him to get it repaired the way he wants it repaired, but he still can't make the claim.
Okay, all right. Sorry we can't help there. Emma in Bulleen. Hi, Emma, what's going on?
Hello. Well, I've got a joint power of attorney issue, which I believe that I'm not the only person in the world to have issues with family and conflict when dealing with elderly parents. So the issue is, I live in Victoria, Bulleen. My elderly mother...
I'm going to get you to go straight to the point just because we've got such short time.
All right.
What do you want to happen?
I need to remove my sister from joint power of attorney because I'm uncovering up to $100,000 worth of questionable transactions that I suspect are not for our mother's benefit as per joint power of attorney. She has not informed me of any of this, and they look pretty
Emma, where does your sister live? Where does your mother live?
Both my sister and my mother live interstate. My sister is about 20 minutes from her.
Then it's an application that you need to make to the tribunal where your mother lives.
Fabulous.
So if your mum lives in New South Wales, it's an application in the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, and it's an application in two parts. It's an application calling upon her to account for the questionable transactions, coupled with an application to remove her as the attorney.
Fabulous. So I'm actually going over to sort this out in person tomorrow. And should I make an appointment with that state's civil tribunal?
You're not there. You make an application. If you look on their website, you'll see what the paperwork requirements are. And can I tell you, they will not drop everything and deal with your issue. You will join the queue.
Yeah, and there might be a heck of a queue. Good luck, Emma. That sounds complicated. Michelle is with us this morning in East Warburton. Hi, Michelle. What's going on? Oh, hello. And hello to Puppy.
Yes, sorry, I've got dogs in the background. My mum passed away last Thursday. Her husband, which is not my father, is in aged care. They were both in aged care. Now, he wants to return to Ireland, his homeland.
Yes.
And everything is left to him in Mum's will. But on his passing, everything is left to us, the siblings. And we want to know if he returns to Ireland, he's already been assessed for aged care and he's in aged care, can he change his will?
It's possible you don't have to be demented to go into aged care. You can still have testamentary capacity and move into aged care, yes, it would be possible for him to change his will. And if he died in Ireland while a resident of Ireland, your claim against his estate would need to be dealt with in Ireland.
Oh, well, dealt with in Ireland. Oh,
it's not looking good, Michelle.
No, it's not, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be suggesting that the tactical advantage might be to. Sometimes people make mutual wills, and sometimes they make mutual wills pursuant to an agreement that says they won't change their will. So if they've done that, so there's an agreement to make wills in a particular form, and those agreements normally go on to say that I won't change my will when my partner's gone, and I won't give away my assets for the purpose of diminishing my estate.
But a bit late now, given that
it's a bit late for the Irishman now.
It's a bit late for the Irishman. What do you mean by that?
Well, if they haven't written that document.
Yeah, they haven't written that document.
Then the answer would be it's purely and simply they've got an informal agreement. You would need to bring your claim. You might be able to bring a claim now that he might contractually agree that in order for you to give up your claim on your mum's estate, he'll agree to leave his estate to you. It's just far more complicated than 3 minutes on the radio, Michelle. I would suggest that you and your siblings go off and get some advice.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much, David and Virginia.
Yeah, sorry about that. That is really complicated. Can we quickly fit in one more, do you think, just very quickly? No, we can't, because the one I was... Oh, here we go. Lucas in Berwick. Can we help Lucas just quickly?
Hello. Yeah, thank you for taking my call. I was on a trip in July, and the day before we left Tasmania back for Melbourne, my partner got COVID and Jetstar refused to take us on the flight the next day. I rang the insurance company. They said, according to your policy, you can change your flights and we'll pay. And with that verbal guarantee, I changed my flights. It cost about close to $2,000 for flights and accommodation.
Yes.
I put my claim in, and the claim has been refused.
Because?
So I can read it. It says, as your flight costs were not amended prior to your journey commencing and was not a cancellation cost, but a flight change fee on your journey, this portion of the claim needs to be assessed under additional expenses benefit, which is not available in your policy. Therefore, this portion of the claim does not fall within the coverage of the cancellation benefit, so we cannot issue you a statement.
Lucas, there's two parts to this. The first one is, what would you have done if you were told something different when you rang? Because that may be a relevant factor. Because what did you do in reliance upon the statement? I'm thinking that you would have done exactly what you did, whether you had the phone call or not. And secondly, it requires a detailed analysis of the terms of the insurance.
Yeah.
And there may be some legal prohibition on them carrying you while you had COVID. All of those are factors.
Oh, well, they didn't have. We did it 1 week's isolation, which cost us the extra $1,000.
Lucas, I'll have a look over the next 2 weeks, and I will come back and give you a better answer. All right?
Oh, that's very helpful. Thank you. I will
Lucas.
look closer at the policy too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good on you. Thanks so much, David.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely, David Whiting there, who's taking Cup Day off. Why not? And we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks.